Bam. Let's try that. Good grief. Automation button. We're good. I know. Thank you, Ricochet. Woo! I was looking over here at my meters and they were all normal, but I have a ear system in as well for when I'm doing interviews or listening to the videos. And that's kind of goofy right there for a second. I'll be calling Stephen Haywood tomorrow. Something happened on the auto mute there. Doesn't matter now. We're good to go. Loud and proud, as you guys are saying. Thank you for being here tonight for the update. I received a great message today from Peru. Yes, Peru. Being very thankful for the updates each evening. And they feel like they're just getting the truth through this evening update. And that's the reason that we're here. And we're not going anywhere. This is day number 72. We just finished a night of worship at our local church here. It was fantastic. And, but we had everything ready to go and we are, good evening, PG. I watched last night's show this morning and I loved your shirt. Thank you. I've actually got another one ready to go. But I'm ripping the Slava Ukraina tonight. So, now we've got all kind of updates. In fact, folks, you can see the pages are full of the truth tonight. And, I think a lot of questions are going to be answered, especially in regard to some of the major things that are coming up. The May 9 events, May 8 for Ukraine. Good morning, Ralph Foster checking in from the Philippines. Good morning to you, sir. Todd Ragland, Washington State. Ro Gaiman checking in from Midlothian, Virginia. Dawn Pinkham, God bless pastors GZR and Ukraine. I think that's fair enough. Judy Emmert, God bless you, and Gramps over there. Deb Erskine, God bless everyone joining in and prayerfully supporting the beloved people of Ukraine, believing for the Lord's protection. That's a wonderful message there. Thank you. Nate Fody, what's up? Vacaville, California. You know, we are loud and proud from coast to coast here. You know what? This is a typical name you guys see in here each evening. We've got the normals with their military background. Sometimes you can't see all the chat, all the conversations, especially the other night when I lost my mind, but we're healed and restored. But like when I'm running this screen, you can see the background. I let all the chat roll. And that'll come from one of the Facebook feeds, but not the other. and YouTube, it pulls it in automatically. So I don't have to touch nothing. It's doing it. Some high tech rednecks over here. But then if I want to highlight a chat, like I can grab that one and I can send it. Good evening, Don and Rose Gentilini, dear friends from Bill Terry. And then I can pop it off. There was some folks asking how all that was happening. So that's how that happens and how we're communicating. But one of the folks that you see in here all the time talking and spreading his Vietnam veteran experience, and he is a phenomenal veteran who served our country, Mr. Rick Barry. Folks, I'm going to give a big shout out to Rick Barry and his wife, Shirley Barry, because tomorrow they are going to renew their wedding vows. They've been married 50 years. So here's what we know, Rick. You're a great veteran. We thank you for your service. I love your input on this program, especially the tactical stuff and the military stuff. But I've got news for you. Congratulations on your renewing of your vows tomorrow. You're old. Judy Emmerich, I tell you, we're watching from I-79. Well, you're either in Pennsylvania or West Virginia, most likely Pennsylvania. So we've got even mobile. And listen, I can just be a third party with everybody talking back and forth. That's awesome. And we love it. So you got a big shout out back to you, Bill Terry, from the Gentilinis. All right, folks. And I did give my man in Philippines, Ralph Foster, a shout out. 50 years. Congrats. Rick Barry, Shirley Barry. God bless you guys. All right, folks, let's get to it. Full night tonight. And a couple of stories we've been watching I want to catch you up on. Last night, the conversation with Rostislav was fantastic. The questions, the answers. He's a brilliant communicator. In fact, when we finished talking, we were in the green room chatting. I said, what are you going to do now? And he said, I'm going to try to go back to sleep, but if I can't, I've got some translation work I'm doing. And he's just a phenomenal guy. So very, very articulate, even really understanding American English and slangs, you know. So we're very thankful that we are, what did he say? Kicking their blessed assurance. He's something else. That was great. Now, my other partner in crime, Pastor Zhenya, as you guys know, he has been en route with Andrew delivering our Mariupol evacuee. Remember her name? Larissa. I can report to you guys that Larissa is delivered to Germany. The package has been delivered. Now, a couple of things about that delivery, and I think you're going to enjoy this. But I want you to think about something for a second. And we've got plenty of stuff we're going to look at tonight. Going to catch you up on everything that closes this Friday, day 72, before we start moving into the weekend, day 73. And really, folks, approaching this May 9th deal, this is a big deal. These next, I like to say probably 3 or 4 days, even into the 10th, these are going to be some major, major deals. And we will be watching them. It's already begun. It has already begun with the rhetoric, with the talking. And I'm going to show you all of that. Yes, Clifford Gilmore, the Eagle has landed. The wife says old and stinky too. She said it, not me. So I want you guys to think for a second about Larissa. Remember, we spoke to her at the Polish border, had a great conversation with her, and she is the lady that really doesn't want to tell the details of what she experienced in Mariupol, but you could see she was willing to talk to us, and sometime after the war, we're going to have a cup of tea together somewhere in Ukraine. Mariupol, she said, on the beach. Her home's near the beach, although they're all gone. We'll see what can happen to get her a new one. Anyway, Larissa is there, and I've got a video of that. So I want you to think for a moment. You've been with me for 72 days. You've watched your local news or your international news, whatever you like. When you're not here at 9 o'clock Eastern, there's 23 other hours in the day, and you want to get your update. And that's cool. But on this one, you're getting an insight into a person's life. And I want you to think about her life living. Remember, this is the lady that lived inside the laundry chute. Yes. And those are secure in the center of the buildings. And that's where her and her family took safety. From constant shelling, to be able to escape, to get to Khmelnytsky, to be personally chauffeured to Germany and taken care of. And yes, they left money in her wallet. You right. How about I show you where Larissa is? Here we go.
This is a report. This is the place Larissa will live.
And then you have...
Okay, so... Oh, sorry. Please, no worry. It's
beautiful.
okay, and everything is fine. Our friends and brothers and sisters from Germany helping. Okay.
Yes.
There you have it, folks. So you just think about going from where she was in Mariupol to that beautiful place in Germany. I can tell you she's there, she's safe, she's fed, she's got that beautiful studio apartment. Did you see the kitchen and her bedroom and her bathroom? Unbelievable nice flat there, and she is being taken care of. So there is a story from beginning to end where you guys have been investing, where we've shared in this together, not only with prayers, but with the giving of our finances. And yeah, we eclipsed $100,000. Unbelievable. And we're pushing on now, to 110, but it's amazing to see the story from beginning to end. So for Larissa, we've got a victory. And on this Friday night, May the 6th, day 72, that should give you also a reason to smile. Now, you know that Zhenya and Andrew traveling, trying to get there. They're still in his van. It broke down again. This time the coolant went out, but I can tell you we have located a van. We have located a new vehicle. He's in the Netherlands now. Think about this. He's in the Netherlands. This is how difficult it is to locate a vehicle that's suitable for what we're looking for. But we believe we've located one. We had 2 or 3 options, and we went for the best option. Why not? We went for the best option. And so that is in process. Not now, of course. It's 4 in the morning, 3 in the morning over there. But it is in process. But let me give you a final update. Tomorrow, there will be a funeral. Not for a deceased soldier, but for Zhenya's van. We have reached the limit.
Yes, пошло. Замена
This was today.
цилиндра сцепления.
Женя
The
скоро
coolant
откроет
system went
СТО по Opel Vivaro. И будет
translate it,
прибыльное дело.
Andrew
Да
is
я
saying this guy
гарантирую,
knows
потому что
more
то,
about
как
how to
он
fix
делает,
this van than anybody.
он все знает.
He knows it
Даже я
all.
столько не знаю.
He
Удивительно.
knows more than me. He could start an Opel dealership. Look at the leak. Here it comes.
Here is the problem, you see? Here is the problem.
Yeah.
Just a small problem. Okay. Hey, hello again. My car, I don't know, it's kind of surprising, but it's again broken. Get broken. This man, the Fabio, helping for free to our nation. and 2 hours pregnant.
Folks, we have to laugh about it. I mean, even I have rode in that van thousands and thousands of kilometers. We've officially retired it. So supposedly we have some news tomorrow, and of course we will keep you updated. But hey, you have to laugh about it. You have to smile about it. And I love, it's getting broken. It's exactly right. It's getting broken. Genius Van deserves a yay. Okay, there you go. Oh my goodness. It's good to smile and have a little fun with it. What else can you do? Oh shucks, a little duct tape will fit that. He always has a great smile. Absolutely. He's a phenomenal guy. We've been best of friends for 25 years. So, here you go, folks. Let's jump over here. Evidently, Los Gatos, California loves Ukraine. Here's a vehicle riding around Los Gatos, beautiful Jeep. We need to send that to Xenia too. That would work. I mean, in addition to the van and that Jeep, and maybe on the top we could mount a turret and a laser cannon for defense. Anyway, American flag, Ukrainian flag, beautiful Californian there in Los Gatos, beautiful Los Gatos, supporting Ukraine, and we're thankful for that. This was sent to me today from our viewers. I think John Brady sent this to me. I get sent a lot of stuff now. I think, sir. Ukrainian pregnant woman Alona, 20 years old, holds her son Sergei 1 as they wait for boarding due an evacuation of civilians in Kramatorsk, Ukraine. This evacuation was just a couple of days ago, and he sent me the picture, and he's a veteran. I believe he's a medic as well. We've got lots of medics in here, and he said, as much as I hate what's going on and seeing this war and all the devastation, isn't it nice to see a baby smiling in the sunshine on his way to a safe place? And for that, I would agree 100%. And please feel free, send your pictures in, send your videos in, and we'll put them on as always. This happened yesterday, and I wanted to share it, but Rostik and I got talking so much, so I'm sharing it tonight. I'm just thankful for this. George W. Bush and President Vladimir Zelensky had an informal, relaxed conversation. And supposedly it was very extended, of course, in English. It was not political. It was from one former world leader to a current world leader who was just encouraging him, prayed for Ukraine. It's just a good story. George W. Bush, and this was his statement. He said, "I was honored to spend a few minutes talking with President Zelensky. He calls him the Winston Churchill of our time this morning. I thank the president for his leadership, his example, and his commitment to liberty. And I saluted the courage of the Ukrainian people. President Zelensky assured me that they will not waver in their fight against Putin's barbarism and thuggery." Tell us what you really think, George W. Bush. Putin's barbarism and thuggery. He then finished out by saying, "Americans are inspired by their fortitude and resilience." And I would say that is true. We will continue to stand with Ukrainians as they stand up for their freedom. So thank you for that, President George Bush. Now, I want to set a rumor, close a rumor. Many of you probably have seen on your local news, or you've seen on the international news, that it was being shared that Ukraine and their Neptune missiles had sunk another major ship in the Black Sea. The name of that ship is the Makarov. And I'll teach you a little bit about Russian now. Are you ready? Most people would look at that name of that ship and go, Makarov. No. So in Russian, you typically always put the accent, it's just a general rule of thumb, on the second syllable. So, Makarov. You see that? So, Makarov. That's how you do it. Lesson for the night. So, the Makarov has not been hit. In fact, it was nothing but a rumor. The rumor started by the power of propaganda and the power of media, even from the Ukrainian side. These guys who had a little bit of influence started posting a picture of a ship in a sea on fire, and they tagged it as the Makarov has been hit in the Black Sea. Turns out that picture was 1 year old and was actually from a practice event, and the Makarov is still floating and doing its business. But hopefully we'll get it very, very soon. But that's the truth on that. Now, secondly, another fact today, Kyiv, meaning the government of Ukraine, froze the gas prices. Unfortunately, people like to take advantage of situations. As you know, you've heard it directly from Zhenya, living there in Ukraine, fuel is a problem. In fact, today, the biggest, largest, most productive fuel refinery in all of Ukraine, in the city of Kremenchuk, was destroyed, and they will not even be able to think about being able to refine fuel until 2023. So it is a serious problem. The EU and Ukraine are dropping transport tariffs for fuel trucks going to Ukraine. They're working on a program. Remember, President Zelensky said, give me 2 weeks, and they are in process of fixing it to the best of their ability. So Kyiv has had to freeze the fuel prices, meaning this is what you can charge. And yes, there can be X amount of markup so you can stay in business, but it has to be fair. So they froze it. I think the rate is at 31 grivna per liter, and the maximum that can be charged is 36 grivna per liter. And many people in Ukraine trying to take advantage of it were charging 60 and 70 grivna per liter. And grivna is the currency of Ukraine. And that has been nipped in the bud, as Barney would say. I need to get a nip it in the bud video clip. I will do that. So the fuel prices for the citizens, although they can only get 10 liters at a time, potentially 20, which is very little. 20 liters would be about 5 gallons. The price is at least fixed so they cannot be gouged. Now, folks, I'm excited about what I'm going to share with you next. This is day number 72. I've got a report for you. We are 72 days into this second phase of the war. Remember, we have taught you that the war did not start on February 24th. It started in 2014 and actually goes back decades, but 2014, and then this second wave of the invasion of the Russian forces in this war happened on February the 24th. Well, since the invasion, we are now 72 days later, and we have not the general's report. We do not have, what is that price in US dollars? What is that in US dollar? Okay, let me get the latest, and I'll tell you. It's basically $1 per liter. So you are what? 3.6, 360 with the markup, $4 a gallon. That's it. Accurate. $4 a gallon. Cheaper than we're paying here in Pennsylvania. And they're in a war with no supply. But remember, we talk about the war. And we update and we tell good stories of how we're helping people. But yeah, about $4 a gallon to help us Americans understand in the gallons. Now, I'd like to give you a report. This is not the general's report. This is not President Zelensky's report. This is not Vladimir Putin's report. This is my report. We've done this every night, 72 days in a row. And together as a community online and locally here in Greenville, Pennsylvania, we've done an amazing thing. And we're not stopping. I'm more energized than ever, especially today when I receive messages from other countries and people saying, thank you, thank you, thank you. We're not going anywhere until we have victory. And then I'm going to live stream from the victory parade, and all of you will be there with us. Zhenya Rostik and I will march in the victory parade, and you will be there with us. I'm going to live stream it. I'm telling you right now, that's going to happen. Now, with that said, I have my report. My mom and dad and aunt like to call me the general. No, I'm not the general, but I'm going to give you my general report tonight, and here it is. Day 72 statistical update. Current summary of the Russian rapid 3-day invasion of Ukraine. That's what I'm calling it, because they had initially declared that they were going to wipe out Ukraine in 3 days. That was 69 days ago. Sorry, didn't make it. So how many weeks have we been involved in this war? 10. How many victories has Russia had? To this point, 0. Sanctions, basically unlimited, have come against Russia. Russian economy, in the toilet. Oil embargo, pending. Supply dumps in Russia, exploding everywhere. Generals, many eliminated. The Russian army, they are really good at going in reverse. Le Pen in France lost the election. And let me just remind you, that is huge. I mean, you may not be a Macron fan. You may not even know anything about him. But let me tell you something. It was huge that Le Pen did not win that election. And finally, the 9th of May parade, not happening in Kyiv. Enjoy your parade in Moscow. That is the day 72 update. Now, with that said, I told you about many explosions that are happening throughout Russia. Folks, this is true. Now, I can tell you that in, let's see here. Go to the map a second. In this region right here, I'm going to put the Ukrainian border just on the west here. I'm sorry, on the east. And I'll zoom in for you. Okay. So we've all learned Ukrainian geography over these 72 days. Here is Kharkiv. Here is Sumy. Here's Kramatorsk, Lugansk, Donetsk, Mariupol. Now, I can tell you for a fact, 100%, that in Kursk and in Belgorod, these locations are on fire. Fuel dumps, military, not civilian apartment buildings, not schools, not hospitals, but military targets. Those two locations have 100% been hit by Ukrainian counterattacks or operations that are off the grid. 100%. But when I go back to this map, folks, that's just a couple of places there, and that would actually be over in the left of that map. All these other locations have had tactical strikes. And when I mean tactical, I do not mean that Ukraine is doing it, but I mean somebody's doing it. I do not know who. I do know, and I'm going to show you something in just a moment. Yes, Russia is attacking their own places. That's a fact. But there must be some Russian citizens that are hating this and are sabotaging their own country. There must be Ukrainian or some other nation. It could be the United States. It could be Britain. I have no clue who it is. Zero. But I can tell you that all of these strike locations you see are tactical. And some of them have been places that I would think it's a Russian doing it to protest the war. But others are strategical. Coal plants, military bases, fuel dumps, fuel depots, ammunition supply warehouses. All I can tell you is that many places in Russia have been struck in the 72 days of war. And probably, folks, it would only be in the last 30 that these types of strikes have really begun happening. Now, I want to give you an update on the EU tonight. The EU, there was a poll put out. I love the toilet. Yeah, man. This was a general poll put out through the European Union with X amount of citizens per country. However, they did the poll, but it was X amount of citizens from each European Union country. And every European Union country, I'm not going to break all that down for you, but I'm going to tell you this. Every European Union country, except one, over 50% of the population of each nation welcomes Ukraine to join the EU at any moment. Many of these nations were in the high 90s and 80 percentiles. The nations are Austria, Belgium, Bulgaria, Croatia, Cyprus, Czech Republic, Denmark, Estonia, Finland, France, Germany, Greece, Ireland, Italy, Latvia, Lithuania, Luxembourg, Malta, Netherlands, Poland, Portugal, Romania, Slovakia, Slovenia, Spain, and Sweden. I missed one, and that's the one that said no. You guessed it, Hungary. Hungary, not hip. Even under 50% of the citizens do not want Ukraine in the EU. The bottom line is, folks, Hungary is an ally of Russia. It's just a fact. Now, today, I'd like to share with you a confirmed false flag event. I do not share it with you unless I can prove it. And there's so much evidence and so much proof that today, referring back to those fires that we were talking about throughout Russia, a missile was fired. It was tracked. The trail was followed. The launch place was photoed. The travel route was photoed. Radar tracked it and the hit. Everything is documented. A missile was fired from Belarus just below Gomel, and it was not fired toward Ukraine, but it was actually fired into Russian territory, and it struck a munition depot. What do we call that? You do not see Russia invading Belarus. They don't say a peep about it. Why? Because Russia fired on their own depot. Why? False flags. It's why you see all the attacks, all those fires I showed you. Everything is leading up, in my opinion, to May the 9th, where it's possible we're going to hear Vladimir Putin. We're going to hear Vladimir Putin make some declarations. Going to be very, very interesting. Kharkiv today, major strike. Kharkiv is a very, very big city. Huge. In Kharkiv, you have two public transport possibilities, not including a bus. And of course, in Ukraine, in these nations, buses run. They also have mini buses, we would call them. They call them microbuses, where you may have 12 to 15 passengers, and it's constantly running. This is how people move around. Many people still do not have cars. Microbuses, big buses, But then you have in Kharkiv, they have an electric rail system running throughout the city. Huge network. And they also have a subway, a metro under the ground. The above ground subway, their light rail, was completely destroyed today. Gone. Every train they have was parked in the rail yard, light rail yard, all secured, not running because of the shelling. It was struck today and completely destroyed. Light rail is out for years to come in the city of Kharkiv. Today also, there has been some good pushes back from the Ukrainian forces in Kharkiv, and we were very happy about that. But some of these Russian forces that were battling in Kharkiv have rotated south. I'll actually show you this. Let me zoom in here, and I'll show you. So we got to go red here on this one. So basically, Russia's line is kind of like this, coming down. And Ukraine has been able to push back here some. Let me go so I can show it to you. There we go. Ukraine has been able to push back some here in Kharkiv, but here in Slavyansk and Kramatorsk, and this is what this image is showing you here. The pinch is coming in really, really tight, and what has happened is Russia has left forces here to hold the line, but they've rotated some battalions down because they really want Kramatorsk by May 9th. And of course, they want Azovstal and Mariupol down here finished off by May 9th. Why? Because they have to have some victories. So it's very intense. The fighting today has been brutal. So we'll see. Ukraine's holding the line. Heavier weapons are getting there. They're doing a good job. And we just have to wait and see day by day. Now, the title of the program tonight is, who's going to make the first short bus joke? Go ahead. You just did. That's good. The Poland puzzle. Poland now has become a tremendous player in this war. And we know that they've become a tremendous player in the refugee and the humanitarian side. But some hammers were dropped over the last 24 hours. And Poland has now moved to the forefront. And I'm here to tell you, and I'm going to show you, I've got a video clip. I've got it translated for you. This could be serious. This could be also another reason for Russia to ramp up the rhetoric coming up on May the 9th. Absolutely could be a game changer here. I call this the Poland puzzle. And why am I calling it the Poland puzzle? Well, it's wonderful. The help and the support and the camaraderie. You have to understand, in Western Ukraine, in that Volyn area, in Lviv, in the Transcarpathia area, there is a mix of Polish and Ukrainian people and family lines and roots, and even some of the language is similar. So you have Russian to Ukrainian, similar, and then Ukrainian has Polish influence in it. In fact, some of the speech that Duda gives, I actually understand 20% of it, and he's speaking in Polish. Why? Because it has Ukrainian mixtures in it, and then, of course, that has the Russian mixed in it. So it's interesting there how those cultures and languages blend. But Poland being the puzzle, because the rhetoric is stepped up, And President Zelensky and President Duda have made some pretty strong statements over the last 24 hours. I'm going to play you President Duda's statement. And now Russia has started really throwing the rhetoric about Poland. And the rhetoric came so strong against Poland today from Peskov that Podolyak from Kyiv, the president's team, had to respond to Russia. What are they talking about? Poland. Very interesting. Let me get to it and I'll show you and you'll understand. Peskov stated today that Poland threatens the territorial integrity of Ukraine. Now, that's where I'm going to read the rest of that in a moment. You're seeing all this. Peskov stated that Poland threatens the territorial integrity of Ukraine. Last time I checked, Russia, it was you that invaded the territorial integrity of Ukraine uninvited. I don't know what you're thinking, sir, Kremlin spokesperson. So, why is he saying that? I know why he's saying that, and I'm going to play it for you right now.
Na dziesięciolecia, a daj Boże i na stulecia, państwem bratnim dla Rzeczypospolitej, pomiędzy którym a nami, Polską, jak mam nadzieję proroczo powiedział to prezydent Wołodymyr Zełenski, nie będzie miała granicy, że tej granicy faktycznie nie będzie, że będziemy żyli razem na tej ziemi, odbudowując się i budując swoje wspólne szczęście i swoją wspólną siłę, która pozwoli się oprzeć każdemu niebezpieczeństwu, a którą każdy będzie się bał w przyszłości zaatakować i będzie się bał jej zagrozić.
Woo! How about that? No border, stated by Zelensky prophetically, Duda said. It was a prophetic statement that Zelensky is saying, because in that western part of Ukraine, they really are one people. It just flows between so seamlessly and so supportive of each other. Now, why is that going to scare Russia? And it does. Let me tell you why. Because unless they deploy heavier weapons or do a draft after the May 9th Victory Day and mobilize more troops, they're not going to beat Ukraine unless the attrition and just by sheer volume. That's the only way. But it proves to the world that the number 2 army in the world, and that's the big joke inside Ukraine, when they blow up a tank, they'll post a video, and I get all these videos, and the video will say, hey, there's the tank of the number 2 army in the world. They make jokes about it. Who's number 1? We are. Yes. But number 2, it's not Russia. There's no way. They're nuclear? Yeah. Number 2, Israel. Put in the bank. Israel. Do not mess with them. Russia, only by attrition are they going to do this. And now they begin to hear in Moscow, what? Poland and Ukraine? They're going to have no borders? And then the rhetoric from Duda in a very professional way. The border will not exist so that we may live together on this earth, building and rebuilding together our common happiness and common strength, which will allow us to repel any danger or possible threat. Who were they talking to? Who was Zelensky and Duda talking to? They were talking straight to Vladimir Putin. That is what's going on. Peskov continued by saying the fact that very, very hostile rhetoric, what was the hostile rhetoric? I just played it for you from President Duda, has been coming out of Poland in recent months is alarming. Poland was traditionally not friendly, but in recent months, it has become hostile. And the fact is there is a threat to the territorial integrity of Ukraine from Poland, Peskov. I have a question for you. Why on earth does Peskov, he's just a spokesman for the Kremlin, think that they control the territorial integrity of Ukraine. You've got to listen to the rhetoric that keeps coming out. The territorial integrity, the territorial integrity. Why? Because they want the territorial integrity. Let me show you something, and then I'm going to show you another video about territorial integrity that's going to blow you away. Right here. So Podolyak came out, and this is why I call it the Poland puzzle. He came out and he said, Zhirinovsky spirit. Well, who is Zhirinovsky? I'll tell you in a moment. He's on the bottom right there. Zhirinovsky's spirit moved into Medvedev and spreads fakes. That's the former president. It also is Peskov. It's also all the propagandas, and spreads fakes about Polish imperial plans. The civilized world is different. Poland is a great friend, ally, and partner of Ukraine. Warsaw doesn't stab a knife in our back like Moscow, but gives a helping hand. Not all are barbarians like Russia. Folks, this is not some guy sitting blogging on a computer, or that's not me doing an evening update, trying to tell the truth, raise funds for Ukraine. This is the presidential spokesman, one of them in Zelensky's inner circle, talking about Russia stabbing backs in her knife and Poland's our friend, and Duda and Zelensky dropping the borderless, unified people of Ukraine and Poland. Yes, Russia is very concerned about it. There's no doubt. Somebody had put in here, I agree with this 100%. If Poland was not in NATO, it probably would have joined the war by now. I agree. I completely agree. These guys understand. Everybody's scared. And, you know, we played a funny last night. I knew it would get Rostic going when I played the Kuleba speech where he says, listen, you know, do we expect NATO troops in our land? No, they're all scared of Putin, but we're not. We have no other choice, but we're not scared of him. I'm going to tell you something. Poland is not scared of Russia. They understand if a man out of control wants to activate the world nuclear, he can do it whether there's a war going on or not. So you're better off to be proactive and take his toys away from him before he has a chance to do it on his own. It's very simple. So this guy in the bottom right there, Zhirinovsky, he's the guy I told you about 45 days ago that died. He was like Hitler. Well, maybe Putin. The joke in Ukraine is they call him Putler. There, a little bit of inside Ukrainian information for you. They call him Putler. But Putin, this is one of his best buddies, and this is like the major communistic USSR nationalistic guy who was nothing but full of venom and hatred. And that's why Podolyak called it Zhirinovsky's spirit. Now, with that said, let me show you this. I'll show you one more video here I've got ready for tonight. I'll translate it for you. This is a representative from the Kremlin who came down today to Kherson, and he had a meeting. Remember, Kherson's occupied, major strategic area. He came down, made a visit. All of this is in preparation for May 9th, folks. Going to be interesting the next few days, what's going to happen. But they're sitting around a round table talking. You'll see some journalists or people recording it, and I will translate for you what he's saying.
И даже спрашивают, скажите нам точно.
Россия здесь навсегда.
This is the leadership of Kherson. This guy right here is Andrei Turchak, representative from Moscow. He said,
Мы с ним уже чаще видимся.
I want you to know that Russia's here forever. I want to once again address the residents of the Kherson region to tell you Russia is here forever. We are never leaving. Do not doubt this. This will never return to the past of Ukraine.
на первых порах. Может, тут самое нужно.
Very soon, we're going to make it possible. The last thing he said there, very soon, we're going to make it possible for the citizens of Kherson to obtain Russian passports. So that was a visitor from the Kremlin coming down, encouraging the leadership there, placed by Russia, say, keep pushing. This is never going back to Ukraine. Let's go back to the territorial integrity statement from Peskov. Complete invasion and a complete territorial integrity breach. That's the pot calling the kettle black. So there you have it. Now, Ukrainian Prime Minister, his name is Denis Shmyhal, confirmed earlier reports, and this is what's going to be interesting over the next few days, on Russia's possible intention to declare war against Ukraine on the 9th of May. I remind you that Russia has not declared war. They still call this a special operation. According to partner intelligence agency, Russia has intentions to declare full-fledged war on the 9th of May. It may happen. It may not happen. They may call up a draft. We do not know what's going to happen, but the intelligence is out there that Putin is going to make some major declarations on May the 9th. Such possibilities are being discussed in the top political leadership in Moscow. Whether it will happen or not, we will see, he said during a briefing following his visit to where? Poland. Remember the name of the program tonight? The Poland Puzzle. Earlier, press secretary for Russian President Putin, Peskov, that clown again, called nonsense the rumors about declaring war on Russia and the start of mobilization in Russia. I remind you that the same people, Peskov, Putin, Lukashenko, and all the other madmen that are in Belarus and Russia also declared that we will never invade Ukraine. How's that working for you? Don't believe anything that comes out of the Kremlin. Nothing. Azovstal, I want to give you an update on that. And it's sad. It's very sad. Today, 50 were able to be evacuated, and that is it. And once the evacuations started happening, Russia immediately started firing. I've got a little bit of video here. You can see it. And just watch closely. You can see this is an internal battle happening in Azovstal. I clipped out about 10 seconds of it. You can see they're firing close range. It was just quick. I'll play it for you one more time. Now, here's what I'm going to tell you. This was directly from Irina Vereshchuk 30 minutes ago when I got home before I went live. Only 50 people were evacuated today. That's it. Not only that, this message came directly from the Azovstal soldiers. During the ceasefire on the territory of the Azovstal plant, a truck, was hit by Russians who used anti-tank guided weapons. This car was moving towards civilians in order to evacuate them from the plant. As the result of the shelling, 1 fighter was killed, 6 were wounded. The enemy continues to violate all agreements and failed to adhere to security guarantees of a civilian's evacuation. On the right, you can see the truck that was struck. It's like one of those transport trucks that has the cover over the back, like you've seen on Hogan's Heroes. The troops were in it. They were going to get some people and to securely take them to the bus, and the truck was struck by the Russians. That's it. 50 people got out. Actually, video was sent of the soldiers and folks. I shared it with some folks close to me. I said, do you really want to see what's happening? And I shared it with them. It's not good. Azovstal, the guys are doing their best, but this is a tragedy. A tragedy. President Zelensky then came out and said, If Russia kills civilians or soldiers who could be released, they've already done it, President Zelensky, today. We cannot conduct diplomatic negotiations with them. As well, the foreign ministry stated today that the Ukrainian-Russian negotiations are stagnant. Finally, the last thing I want to give you, if war is declared, does this open the door for NATO? No, it does not. Other than the petrodollar and sanctions within NATO. Man, y'all are talking about stuff I don't even understand. Yeah, y'all talk to each other. If you got a question for me, say PG. Because y'all are using codes, and I love it. I've always wondered what keeps NATO states in line with U.S. demands, wild horse Poland from going rogue. Moolah. Not only that, ultimately, let's be very honest. You know, I'll answer that question, then I'm going to show you about Kirill here. The world really banks. I've worked in 30 plus nations. The world really banks on American sovereignty, on American economics, and on American defense. It really does. No matter how strong these nations are, what they say, I'm in all these intranets for Ukraine, getting all this information, and even the Ukrainians. I mean, if there is any peep that comes from any person that has any authority in the United States, they're all over it, because, you know, the hope is really in the number one army in the world. Yes, unless Putin declares war with NATO. Correct. No. So declaring war on Ukraine is still, it's no different. They've already declared war on Ukraine. It's just not official. Final thing I want to give you tonight is Russia's assault on Ukraine. And we've talked about this, is with the religious war. Russia's assault on Ukraine seems to have the intensity of a religious war, partly because it is mixed with one, entwined with one, a bitter battle for control within the Orthodox community that has been raging for years. And this is where you'll just have to trust me. The Russian Orthodox Church and the Ukrainian Orthodox Church have been fighting for decades over leadership. You say, well, listen, that has nothing to do with this war. I know it sounds crazy. I know it sounds crazy, but it does. To what percent? I don't know, but it is a major influence in these conflicts. I know it's crazy. You look at a guy like that, the power of the Orthodox Church in Russia, the Ukrainian Orthodox Church, and the Russian Orthodox Church in Ukraine is beyond comprehension. I'm talking money, power, politics. You just have to trust me on that one. You'll never read that. You won't see videos on it, but I'm telling you, and I know, like, Don Gentilini's in here as a missionary in Eastern Europe. He will tell you the power of the Orthodox Church. We really can't even understand it. Putin invoked this religious rivalry himself when he wrote a famous July 2021 essay. Guys, you remember when when Hitler wrote his book when he was in prison in the 30s, Mein Kampf? President Putin's been writing essays as well. He wrote a very famous religious essay, July 2021. It laid the emotional foundation for the invasion we're seeing now. You can look it up and Google it, translate it and read it, asserting that Ukraine and Russia were bound together by their shared Russian Orthodox faith. In that essay, he denounced the independent-minded Ukrainian patriarch who said he had blatantly interfered in the church life and brought things to a split. Putin's essay was backed by Patriarch Kirill, the patriarch of the Russian Orthodox Church in Moscow, in the Kremlin. So there we have it. There he is, Don Gentilini, right on target. It really is, folks, and I know it's hard to understand, but we'll watch it. But I can tell you, it really is a holy war. The last thing I'm going to leave you with tonight, and it is Friday night, so you can lose 2 more minutes of sleep with me here. The last thing we need to keep our eye on, and I know this is off topic with Ukraine, but really not. Today, China breached the airspace of Taiwan, and I believe it was 18 planes. Taiwan rallied their planes. At the same time, the president of Japan came out and said, you know, what is happening in Ukraine, we cannot allow to happen in the Kuril Islands. That's our territory. And then he began to speak about China and Taiwan. This is the Japanese president. He said, we must not allow what is happening in Ukraine to happen in Taiwan or to happen north of us on our sovereign islands, the Kuril Islands. Very interesting. We just have to keep an eye on it, folks. We could be that close. So let's see here. Question for you. The question is, the Orthodox Church essentially a copy of some form of Orthodox Catholicism? Yes, it's when the church split, and then you had the Catholic Church, the Roman Catholic Church, based out of the Vatican in Italy. Then the Anglican Church split, and they're based out of London. And then you had Eastern Orthodoxy that split. And honestly, just to tell you the truth, the most powerful Eastern Orthodoxy is the Russian Patriarch. The Russian influence, folks, through the era of the Soviet Union was immense. And that's why we're still digging out of this into the nations of Central Asia, Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, Tajikistan, all these satellite nations that were a part of that great empire. And I call it great because it was, by sheer size, unbelievable, the Soviet Union. So yes, you had the split, and you then have different leaderships. That is why the Pope, was trying to speak to Kirill, and Kirill speaking to the Pope. They're not on the same team. They view things differently. So there we go. Turkey going with the East or the West via access to the Black Sea? That's a good question. If I had to guess right now, and we'll close with this. If Putin declares war, and let's say he increased the attacks, which he's going to do over the next 3 days up to Victory Day, their goal is to clean out Azovstal. You guys know that. They actually want to have a victory parade in Mariupol. How evil is that? If this thing escalated, NATO became involved, I personally feel that Turkey would swing west. I really do. I think they would swing west, and they would go with their agreement with NATO. It would be very difficult for them, but there is no way anybody with any sanity at all, and they have to have some rationality, would even think that Russia and whoever they could ally themselves with, which, if we went to that level, folks, you're then talking about, this, China, Iran, Russia, sorry to tell you, India, they'll be together. Still, you're not beating NATO. My opinion. Slava Ukraina, and God bless America. Peace on Ukraine tonight. Thank you guys for being here on this Friday night. 23 hours, we'll have the next update for you. No telling what I'm going to get from Genia by then. Yep, you're spot on. China's watching the war in Ukraine to see what the U.S. is going to do with Russia. Exactly right. We're very, very volatile time. And you guys be here over the next few days for sure. Coming up to the 9th, going to be very important. God bless you. We'll see you in 23 hours. Have a great evening. See you tomorrow.